Hi everyone, my name is Zartman-Ball, and for my co-curriculum placement, I worked on the John Foust campaign as a political fellow for the past 5 weeks, and so I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. So my question was, how do you run a successful campaign since John did win? So my really main focus came on to how did we run the campaign and why did it lead to us winning in the end? So what I'm going to tell you about first is the Drainsville district is what John was in charge of. So in total on the Fairfax Board of Supervisors, there are 9 supervisors. So John is only one out of the 9 districts, and within the Drainsville district that John's in charge of, there are 29 precincts that we had to get him elected in to continue his Board of Supervisors and continue his role on it. So the Fairfax Board of Supervisors really influences your daily life. It's in charge of the budget for Fairfax County Schools. It's in charge of local issues you have, traffic lights, speed bumps, speeding through neighborhoods, local issues with kids, where stores open, traffic congestion, and things like that. It's really things that affect you way more than you thought it would. And that's definitely something I've learned as when I was talking about this. So my candidate was John Foust. He was running for his 3rd term on the Board of Supervisors. He's already been there 8 years for 2 terms. Each term is 4 years. And he is originally from Pennsylvania. And he was a very hard worker, first person to put himself through college in his family. And he really is, every summer he would go and work on steel mills and railroads to continue to pay for his college education. He then moved to Virginia and continued to work here, and while getting his MBA and becoming a lawyer, which led him to his first local issue of telephone companies putting telephone towers on public land illegally, and he ended up shutting down most of those cell towers, which led him really to his first election on the Board of Supervisors, besides him also being an activist on the McLean Citizens Association. So the 4 main points we went off on the campaign was he's balanced 8 straight budgets already, so he has tons more experience than his opponent Cronus did. He cares about protecting our children. He's kept Fairfax County the best schools in the nation for the past 8 years, and has put that at the top of his budget. He also has worked well with high schools to work on drug and alcohol prevention and knowledge and sex education, and finally bringing attention to depression amongst teens and making it a more serious issue that's talked about. Third off, he is endorsed by firefighters and Fairfax teachers in the entire area, which shows he is very well, and he works with them very well, which is a huge part of his job. And fourth, he works on traffic congestion and just got fully funded for the widening of Route 7, which is now in the design phases. So what I did on the campaign was I really did so many different types of things. Starting off, this is my infographic. So what I did was I took on the designing of volunteer emails and voter contact emails to get people to turn out for the election, since there is such a low turnout rate in these local elections compared to a presidential. Usually it's 60% in a presidential. In a local, you're going to have probably a 28% turnout. So every vote really does count. And I also did the volunteer emails, as I said, where I would try and get more volunteers to show up, making it fun, being you can meet your next soulmate, things like that, fitness. And then I made the signups even more fun, so people would feel like they were signing up for a party or a bake sale maybe. I also did a huge thing where I took over canvassing letters, which was a project where every volunteer would speak to someone, and then we would send them a follow-up letter, personalized and shined by John about the issue they had talked about with our volunteer, to give them more knowledge of what John had already done to help them with that issue. I helped with the yard signs. We put yard signs out everywhere. Obviously, the more support, the more his name is out there, the more he's known. I helped coordinate local events. I attended local events, coordinating and training volunteers to work these local events, and it was really fun. I even worked weekends. And then I also helped write articles for Washington Post, write some of his endorsements as well. And then finally, I did my own goals weekly of keeping with voter contact calls, about 100 a day. I did door-to-door canvassing, knocking on doors, about 600 on election day, actually. I worked on getting out the vote, GOTV, and I also worked with just the local volunteers on doing those daily jobs of knocking and phone knocking, phone calls, things like that. So issues that popped up along the way, we had a lie come out from the Republicans of I-66 tolls that we were going to put, Democrats were putting $16 tolls on I-66, which wasn't true. So what we did to address that was just getting the word out there that really wasn't true. We also had a gun store open in the backyard of Franklin Sherman Elementary School, which was a huge problem, especially with local officials and local residents. So we had to address that as well. And then finally, the turf and cancer was a huge problem that popped up along the way. And the reasons these really were huge problems is because John is in office even while we're running. So we also have to address the local problems that his job inquires on a daily basis within our campaign. So it really did add stress to our campaign and made us have to work probably harder than the opponent of coming out with an opinion quicker, coming out with a stance quicker, and going into action quicker since he was already on the Board of Supervisors. So we did end up winning, which is great. It was the most amazing experience. We won 24 out of 29 precincts. We were ahead by about 3,000 votes at the end. And so what do I think really led us to winning? And the answering of my question is I think we ran a very male-based and personal-based campaign, which in the end made a huge, huge difference between our campaign against our opponents. Is we really added that personal touch of follow-up with each person we talked to door to door, making sure they knew that we were addressing the issues instead of just talking to them about it to get their vote. I also think we had really strong field organizers. We had a really strong volunteer base. Everyone in Virginia in this area just loves John. He's known. They want to help him. They want to support him. He has tons of friends. So it made volunteering and getting volunteers a lot easier than if we were a new opponent in the area. So I think that helped as well. And just obviously in the end, John being John is what made the difference. Everyone loves him, and it made running the campaign that much more enjoyable, and it made me truly passionate to work for him and to speak on his behalf every day and to get people to vote for him. So that's my citation page, and that's the end of it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. It was a wonderful 5 weeks, and I would definitely do it again in a heartbeat.